a lot of owner managers, they're looking at their management accounts, they see they're making a profit and they assume that all is well. But in reality, unless those profits are being generated in cash, then they're not going to be able to pay their bills. Now, if they're keeping an eye on their cash and their bank accounts, they're likely to know if there's going to be a cash flow issue. But there are some other red flags or warning signals that they need to take into account. So for example, if they've got a high investment in debtors or stocks, the cash will be tied up there. If their bank facilities are constantly under pressure, they're always in the red, always at the edge of their limit. If their supply line is coming under pressure, if they're constantly paying their suppliers late, if there isn't sufficient cash, if they needed to make an investment in a particular asset or for expansion. And also then if the owner manager isn't taking adequate reward themselves for the role that they do, have they considered that if they need to pay somebody else to do that, would the business still be profitable? Golden rules to optimise the cash flow is to always agree your terms of credit with your customers up front. And while it's great to make the sales and to win the work, are you following that up with a fee straight away? You've delivered a quality product or service, make sure you bill for it as quickly as you can. And it's a good idea to link sales targets to cash collections. So that helps delegate the responsibility to your sales team to get them responsible for it. That's great that you've won the work, but now where's the cash? Have you billed for it? Has it been sent on time? And are you following up then as well with statements? So if your customers don't know that they owe you money, they're not going to volunteer the payment. So make sure not only have you sent the fee promptly, but that you've followed up with a statement, that you've got an up-to-date debtors listing, that you're keeping on top of that. Formalise procedures then as well for overdue debts. So if a customer hasn't paid you, at what point do you stop dealing with that customer? At what point do you take legal action? And it can be quite difficult for some business to make that call on some customers. They need to also look at their customer mix. So the 80-20 rule they need to keep an eye on is 80% of your business coming from 20% of your customers. And if it is, what would you do if those 20% of customers are no longer in business or they can't afford to pay you? So it's worthwhile looking at the customer profile. So another golden rule then is to make sure that the revenue commissioners are never being used as an interest-free overdraft. We don't see it as much now that revenue have e-filing, but it's important to make sure that your VAT and payroll taxes are being filed and paid up to date. If you're not filing your returns, revenue will issue an estimate. And if you're not paying your estimate or your actual liability, then you can be sure that the sheriff will come knocking. And revenue have very sophisticated systems now, so they will be able to tell at the end of the year if the returns that you've been filing throughout the year agree with the accounts that you filed at year end, and also if that's in line with your sector, and they will flag and follow up any variances. A cash forecast should be done at the start of the year. Have a look at what the cash was needed last year. So look at the profit before non-cash items like depreciation, and then consider the cash requirements in the bank facility that will be needed in the current year. So for example, will there be significant investment required in a particular asset? What debts are going to need to be repaid? And some businesses as well will need to consider seasonal fluctuations throughout the year. So once the cash forecast is done, don't just forget about it then and never look at it again, but to reforecast and take account of any events that have or haven't happened throughout the year. And just remember that cash is king. So at Mazars, we have a dedicated accounting and outsourcing team, so we can assist with any of these issues, so please do get in touch.